Today we're diving into a really complex figure at the center of global conflict for, well, over a decade now, Syria's Bashar al-Assad. The source material we're working from paints a pretty stark and challenging picture. So let's break down this story together.
So let's start with the official line, a quote coming directly from Assad. "We will defeat terrorism." It's a very clear, very powerful statement. It frames this whole national struggle as a righteous fight against a common enemy. It's a really definitive narrative. But what if there's way more to the story?
And that right there is the central question for us today, because once you start to look past those official statements, a profoundly different picture begins to emerge, and it's one that stands in, well, direct opposition to that simple, powerful declaration.
And here is that other picture, laid out in 3 brief but incredibly heavy points. A police state, civil war atrocities, and accusations of using chemical weapons. Each one of these is a massive charge on its own. So let's unpack what each one really means.
First up, let's look at the very structure of the state itself. Our source analysis uses the term police state to describe how control works in Syria. But what does that label actually mean in practice?
Okay, so let's be really clear on the definition here. A police state isn't just about having a lot of police officers around. No, it's a whole system of repressive control that seeps into every part of a citizen's life. Their politics, their job, their social world. It implies constant surveillance, a harsh crackdown on any dissent, and a government that holds immense, often completely unchecked power over its own people.
And this really shows you the weight of that claim. This isn't just some casual observation. It's a specific and frankly damning classification of an entire system of government. According to this analysis, the state itself is described as the main tool of repression.
Now we're going to move to our second point. We're shifting from the structure of the state to the conduct of the war itself. And this is where we have to confront the direct and absolutely devastating human cost of this conflict.
Let's just focus on the power of that word for a second. Atrocities. It's a term that is never, ever used lightly. It implies acts of such extreme cruelty and violence, especially against civilians, that they go way beyond the already brutal rules of war. This accusation really shifts the focus from political control to an almost unimaginable scale of human suffering.
So this is the second major charge. You have first the alleged nature of the state itself, and now the alleged nature of the war being waged by that state. You can see how each point is building on the last, painting an increasingly grim picture.
And that brings us to the final point detailed in our source text. This is the one that crosses a line that's recognized by the entire international community. It is without a doubt the most serious accusation of them all.
Our analysis identifies this next one as the most severe charge. The implication here is that this kind of action violates not just international laws, but a fundamental moral taboo in modern conflict.
The use of chemical weapons. This accusation alleges the deployment of substances that are banned across the globe, precisely because they are designed to kill indiscriminately. It represents a line that, once crossed, just fundamentally changes how a leader and a conflict are seen on the world stage.
So, all of this leaves us with 2 stories that are completely irreconcilable. They just can't both be true. On one hand, you have the official narrative of a leader fighting terrorism, and on the other, this series of incredibly grave accusations. Let's look at them side by side.
Here it is. On the left, the clean, decisive proclamation, and on the right, the brutal, complex reality that's alleged in these accounts. The stated fight against terrorism is put in direct contrast with accusations of state terror, war crimes, and the use of forbidden weapons. The 2 narratives, they just can't coexist, and this really captures the central conflict in trying to understand this period in Syria. And so we end with this question. This is really what it all boils down to. It forces us to confront this huge gap that can exist between a leader's public statement and the alleged reality of their rule. It's a question that's not just about Syria, but about power, about narrative, and about truth itself. How do you even begin to reconcile 2 such opposing realities?